Hey, what is up, YouTube? It's me, Art Solo, here again, this time with the full review of the 2016 Ducati Diavel Dark Stealth. Okay, so first of all, let me just acknowledge the fact that I'm not really sure how to pronounce the name of this bike. Is it Diavel? Is it Diavel? I'm not really sure. Maybe one of you guys who knows could fill me in. So, real quick, technical specs. It's got a 1,198 cc engine, so that's the displacement, 162 horsepower, 96 foot-pound of torque at about 8,000 RPM. You're looking at about 520 pounds in running order with a seat height of 31 inches. Alright, so Ducati classifies this motorcycle as a cruiser, a power cruiser, but it's definitely not a cruiser in my opinion. Is it a sports bike? Well, not exactly. It's complicated, but if I had to call it something, I'd say it's a heavy sports bike with an upright riding position and more low-end torque than you'd be used to if you thought of it as a sports bike. Let's just call it a really interesting motorcycle. There, Ducati Diavel 2016, an interesting motorcycle. And just because it doesn't fit into any category per se, it's definitely not a bad motorcycle. I'll tell you about it right now. One of the coolest things about the Ducati Diavel, in my opinion, is all the technology that they've stuffed into it. You've got traction control, ABS, and 3 different rider modes. Everything is adjustable, and the steering wheel lock is even automatic. Underneath all the tech, though, is an engine that really wants to go. I believe it does 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, and it has a top speed of 165 miles an hour. The tone of the exhaust is nothing to write home about. Here, I'll just show you. It doesn't sound bad, it just doesn't have that growl, that roar that you get and that you expect from a cruiser of this size. Exhaust sound aside, however, this is a very well performing bike. The Diavel has more than enough low-end torque, it's effortlessly fast, and it handles better than you'd ever expect from a motorcycle of this shape and size. Alright, so let's go for a ride. As you can see from this clip, even riding with a passenger, it has no problem whatsoever passing slower cars. There's no wind buffeting with the windscreen that I have, and the aerodynamics of the motorcycle really makes it so that you're not getting blown around by the wind at all. Twist the throttle and instantly you can put the bike where you want it to go, apply the brakes, and you'll stop confidently. The Diavel is running dual discs up front, and you've got ABS. I came over from riding Harley Davidsons, and I will say that the Ducati Diavel commands a little bit more of your attention to ride. Allow the RPMs to run too low, and you'll find that the motorcycle will protest and rattle. Downshift into high RPMs, and you might find that the slipper clutch takes over. Once you find the sweet spot though, once you discover how the motorcycle wants to be ridden, and you'll discover a really fun bike. Here I am during my daily commute to work. A little bit later on in the ride, it's actually going to rain, which will give me a good chance to demonstrate the urban riding mode. For those of you who don't know, the Diavel offers 3 different riding modes, which is pretty cool because toggling between the 3, you actually end up feeling like you have 3 very different motorcycles. Urban mode gives you maximum traction control, but only 100 horsepower, 100 out of 162. Touring mode gives you all of the horsepower, but only mid-level traction. And sports mode reduces traction to minimal level, but gives you all of the horsepower and all of the torque. Primarily, I just leave it in sports mode, but I will say that all 3 modes are actually adjustable to your liking. You can dial the traction control all the way up, or you could even turn it all the way off. Okay, so like I was saying, this motorcycle is sneaky fast. Way faster than you'd expect out of any cruiser, which again is what Ducati's calling it. And it's about as fast as any sports bike with the kind of displacement that this bike has, about 1200 cc's. Right there I did about 135 miles per hour, which I wasn't really expecting until I looked down at the speedometer. Full disclaimer, however, I was reading the owner's manual, and apparently the speedometer displays your speed at 5% under what you're actually going. I'm not really sure why they do that. But the bottom line is you're actually going about 5% slower than you think you are. Alright, so as you can see, it's begun to rain lightly, and I've put the Diavel in urban mode. You can actually switch rider modes while you're moving, no matter what speed you're moving at, and it's fairly easy to do. Riding in urban mode, I will say that there is definitely a significant power loss. It's definitely something you'll notice. Another thing you'll notice is how often you have to fill up for gas. The 3.5 gallon gas tank is definitely uncruiser-like, and I find that I get about 100 miles per trip before I have to fill up for gas before the fuel light comes on. Alright, so as much as I love this bike, and I do, I gotta be honest and say that the bike has a very interesting look. You either love it or hate it. The Diavel is very unique. It doesn't really look like other motorcycles out there on the road, which I guess is a good thing. But just an observation, it's got a long bulbous figure. And you know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me of a Star Trek phaser. Remember those? A Star Trek phaser. But anyway, overall, this bike is a really good bike. I don't regret getting it at all. And I wouldn't have a problem recommending it to pretty much anyone. It does a lot of things really, really well, including being really quick, braking on a dime, low-end torque, and maneuverability. If you're a sports bike guy, I think you'll like it. It has a lot of pure speed. If you're a cruiser guy, I think you'll like it. It has a lot of low-end torque and an upright riding position. If you want a motorcycle with all the latest gadgets, this bike has it. If you want to ride a safe motorcycle, the Diavel has something for you. Ducati's made a really good overall performer with the Diavel, and I think it's going to appeal to a large demographic if they give it a try. Is it as loud and as comfortable as, say, a Harley? No. Is it as fast as a Hayabusa? No. But there's a middle ground, and this bike fails at absolutely nothing. Is it worth the price tag? Yes, because you'll never get bored of this bike. Never. You'll never outgrow the Diavel, and every time you stop for gas or coffee or anything like that, someone's gonna ask you what you're riding. 2016 Ducati Diavel, something like that. Someone help me. Teach me how to pronounce this motorcycle. Please. Alright guys, so in case you were wondering what that mysterious cylindrical item is that I'm riding around with on my backpack is, it's actually a lightsaber. That's right everyone, I'm a Jedi. You can pick yours up at Salt Lake Sabers, they'll custom make it for you. Support small business, they actually make them right out of the garage. Nice little company. As always, ride safe, ride often, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Alright, peace!